Who is Maya Boyd playing in X-Men? Storm explained, warning, spoiler warning. This video discusses Marvel's newly announced X-Men cast, Maya Boyd's role as Storm, and details about the character's comic book history and her place in the new MCU. Marvel has finally revealed the actress who will bring one of the most iconic X-Men characters to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Maya Boyd is playing Storm. The announcement was made at D23 on August 15, 2026, when Marvel officially revealed the main cast of its upcoming X-Men movie. Boyd joins a completely new generation of mutants, with Kit Connor as Cyclops, Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, Christopher Abbott as Professor X, Inde Navarrette as Rogue, Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, and Adam Driver as Mister Sinister. The movie is being directed by Jake Schreier and is currently scheduled to arrive in theaters on May 5, 2028. But who is Maya Boyd? Who exactly is Storm? How powerful is she? And why could Storm become one of the most important characters in Marvel's new X-Men universe? Let's break it all down. 1. Who is Maya Boyd? Maya Boyd is an American stage actress who is now making her major feature film debut as Storm in Marvel Studios' X-Men. Before joining Marvel, Boyd built her career primarily in theater. She made her Broadway debut in Merrily We Roll Along in 2023. She later took over the title role of Juliet in the Broadway musical & Juliet, performing the role regularly. More recently, she appeared in August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone alongside actors including Taraji P. Henson and Cedric the Entertainer. That makes her casting especially interesting. Unlike some of Marvel's new X-Men stars, Boyd doesn't arrive with years of blockbuster movie experience. Instead, Marvel has chosen a performer with a strong theatrical background and the opportunity to introduce her to a massive global audience through one of the studio's biggest franchises. And now, she has one of Marvel's most recognizable characters. 2. Who is Storm? Storm's real name is Ororo Munroe. She is one of the most powerful and recognizable members of the X-Men. Her primary ability is the manipulation of weather. That means she can generate and control storms, lightning, wind, rain, atmospheric pressure, and other weather phenomena. But describing Storm as simply someone who controls lightning doesn't really capture how powerful she can be. Storm can manipulate the atmosphere on an enormous scale. She can create powerful winds. She can summon lightning. She can change temperature. She can create storms. And in the comics, her powers have been shown at an extraordinary level. That's why Storm isn't simply another member of the team. She can potentially change the entire battlefield. 3. How powerful is Storm? Storm is often considered one of the most powerful mutants in Marvel, and there's an important reason for that. Her powers aren't limited to one specific attack. She controls atmospheric conditions. That gives her an enormous range of abilities. Imagine fighting Storm in the middle of a battlefield. She could create powerful winds that throw enemies into the air. She could use lightning against multiple targets. She could create freezing temperatures. She could reduce visibility through heavy rain or storms. She could even use wind to help herself and other X-Men move through the air. Her power is also extremely difficult to defend against because the atmosphere is everywhere. You can't simply take away her weapon. The environment itself becomes her weapon. 4. Is Storm a leader? Yes. This is one of the most important things about Storm. She isn't just a powerful mutant. She's also one of the X-Men's greatest leaders. At different points in Marvel Comics, Storm has led the X-Men herself. She has even taken leadership responsibilities when Professor X wasn't available. That makes her particularly important to the new MCU team. Marvel has already confirmed Christopher Abbott as Professor X and Kit Connor as Cyclops. Cyclops is traditionally one of the team's primary field leaders, but Storm is also capable of leading. That creates the possibility of an interesting relationship between the two characters. They may work together extremely well, or they may disagree about how the X-Men should operate. Either way, Storm has the authority and experience in the comics to stand alongside the biggest leaders of the team. 5. What is Storm's origin? Storm's comic book origin is one of the most fascinating in X-Men history. Ororo Munroe is the daughter of an American father and a Kenyan mother. She spends part of her childhood in Cairo, Egypt. After tragedy strikes her family, Ororo becomes an orphan and survives on the streets. She eventually becomes a skilled thief, but her life changes when she discovers her mutant abilities. Her powers are connected to her emotions and her ability to control the weather. Eventually, Professor Charles Xavier finds her and recruits her into the X-Men. That begins her transformation from an isolated survivor into one of the team's most important heroes. Marvel hasn't revealed exactly how much of this origin story will be used in the new movie, but Storm's background gives the character far more depth than simply being the person who controls storms. 6. Is Storm a goddess? This is one of the most interesting parts of the character. In parts of her comic history, Storm is worshipped as a goddess. Her ability to control the weather makes ordinary people believe that she possesses divine powers. But Storm isn't actually a traditional goddess. She's a mutant. Her abilities come from her mutation. This creates an interesting contrast. She is someone who has been treated like a supernatural being, but she is also part of a world where mutants are feared and persecuted. That could become particularly important in the MCU. If the new X-Men movie explores how ordinary people react to mutants, Storm's appearance could provide a fascinating perspective. Some people may fear her, others could worship her, and others may simply see her as another mutant.
7. Why is Storm important to the X-Men? Storm represents several important ideas within the X-Men. She's powerful, she's compassionate, she's a survivor, and she's capable of becoming a leader. But perhaps most importantly, Storm understands what it means to live between different worlds. Her background is very different from many of the other X-Men. That gives her a unique perspective when dealing with humans, mutants, and questions about identity. She can be extremely powerful without being cruel, and that's one of the qualities that makes her such an important part of the team. 8. How does Maya Boyd compare to previous Storms? Maya Boyd isn't the first actress to play Storm. The character was previously portrayed by Halle Berry in the original X-Men films. A younger version of Storm was later played by Alexandra Shipp in the prequel-era movies. Both actresses gave the character different interpretations. Berry's Storm became one of the recognizable faces of the original X-Men franchise. Shipp's version allowed audiences to see a younger Aurora before she became the experienced leader fans know from the comics. Now, Maya Boyd gets the opportunity to create an entirely new version. And that's important because Marvel isn't simply rebooting Storm's costume and powers. The studio has an opportunity to rebuild the character from the ground up. 9. Why did Marvel choose Maya Boyd? Marvel hasn't publicly explained every detail behind Boyd's casting, but her theatrical background could be a major advantage. Storm is a character who needs more than impressive visual effects. The role requires emotional authority. She has to feel believable as someone who can stand beside Professor X and Cyclops. She also needs to carry scenes where the character isn't using her powers. That is where a strong stage background can be extremely valuable. Boyd has already performed demanding roles in front of live audiences. Now she'll have to bring that same presence to a massive superhero production. 10. What will Storm's costume look like? Marvel has not revealed the complete final costume for Storm, so we shouldn't assume exactly what she will wear. But comic book fans will naturally expect certain elements. Storm is traditionally associated with a striking white hairstyle, a dramatic superhero costume, and a visual style that reflects her connection to the elements. The challenge for Marvel will be creating a costume that feels faithful to the comics while also looking believable in the MCU. And Maya Boyd's version could be very different from Halle Berry's and Alexandra Shipp's versions. That's because Marvel now has the opportunity to design Storm specifically for this new universe.